and welcome back to Off the Post. In today's video, we'll be discussing Paul Pogba making a return to football after an 18-month suspension away from the game. But before that, as always, please like, comment, subscribe. It's very much appreciated. And I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's recently subscribed, because we have recently just hit 50 subscribers, okay? Absolutely incredible scenes from everybody. And I just want to say a massive thank you for all of the support, all the likes and all the comments, all of the support on social media as well. That's been absolutely amazing. And yeah, let's get straight into the video, shall we? I want to kick off by saying Paul Pogba has returned to football after signing a 2-year deal with AS Monaco, okay? And I think this is the perfect bit of business for him, and this is a perfect move for him in his career at the moment, just because the 32-year-old, you know, he can go back to his home nation in France and he can do some good stuff for an AS Monaco, because this is the first time that he's actually played in France, I'm pretty sure, at the professional level at least. And I do really feel like AS Monaco can achieve something special with a Paul Pogba in their midfield, just because they came third last season. I'm pretty sure they had, what, 62 points, and then there was 3 points off finishing second against, is it Marseille? So, you know, 3 points off second. Don't get me wrong, PSG sort of blew away with the lead. They were so far in front, and they always are going to be behind PSG, so it is going to be difficult to win the league. But if you've got a Paul Pogba in your midfield for an AS Monaco, if you've got other players in there like Balogun, Golovin, Denis Zakaria, Van der Son, all these types of players, right, I'm pretty sure Paul Pogba will definitely guide that midfield, guide the forwards on to strive them forward and potentially score some goals. And I really do feel like that side, it is quite fun now to watch, and I might have to, you know, watch out for Paul Pogba next season, because I really do feel like he can achieve some good stuff. But let's just throw it back a few seasons, right, to when he was breaking through at the likes of Man United in the academy days. Obviously he went to Juventus and tore it up there. I'm pretty sure they won, like, I want to say a Serie A 4 times in a row, I'm pretty sure, and they won 2 doubles in that time, in that 4-year spell at Juventus. But for me, Paul Pogba was a world beater, wasn't he? He was one of the biggest talents to come out of youth football for Manchester United in a long time, ever since those 1992 days and all that sort of stuff. You know, Paul Pogba was fantastic, just because, honestly, he had it all. When you talk about the player Paul Pogba, he was tall, he was strong, he can run with the ball, he's great at dribbling, he's got a good shot on him, he's half decent at defending. So for a midfielder, he was perfect. He had everything to his game, but it was just the consistency and the injuries that let him down, especially at his time at Manchester United. But those early Juventus days, he was looking like an absolute world beater. He was looking like, you know, like a Jude Bellingham at the moment. When you think about Jude Bellingham and the sort of player he is, Paul Pogba was that, and a lot better, for my personal opinion. I honestly was. And it was a bit of a crying shame that Paul Pogba's sort of career has sort of spiralled over the recent years, and it sort of took a turn to the worst, didn't it? But hopefully now, at the age of 32, he can sort of get his career back on track and play some decent stuff at AS Monaco. Don't get me wrong, it might be a little bit difficult to challenge for the League 1 title, but maybe they might be able to win a few cup competitions here and there, we don't know. But I feel like it's all up for grabs. If they get a few more signings as well to help them out in there, obviously Paul Pogba can be the centre of things. I honestly do think he can be. Obviously, he got a 4-year ban for doping, right, and then that got cut down to an 18-month period. So hopefully, you know, obviously he did look very emotional in that signing video for AS Monaco. So hopefully he's sort of learned his lesson and he can just get back to his best, because Paul Pogba was a fantastic player. He was one of the great midfielders in there, in the whole world at some stage, because when we talk about those Juventus days, okay, winning, you know, 4 back-to-back Serie A trophies, having that midfielder Pirlo and Arturo Vidal with Pogba in there, he was fantastic. And I really do feel like Pogba strives off having better players around him, and when you have those two in midfield, it made it so much easier for Paul Pogba to strive and, you know, find a consistent form and just show his world-class talent that he had in those early days at Juventus. And obviously he got his move back to Manchester United, the world record fee of 89 million back in those times. And don't get me wrong, there was so much hype around Paul Pogba. Manchester United fans were hoping and expecting that they was getting probably the best midfielder, best young talent in the world at that stage in that current time. And there was all positive signs. There was nothing wrong for Paul Pogba. There was everything going for him. He honestly did have everything going for him. But for whatever reason, either loads of managerial changes at United, or not being able to get a consistent run of form, or injury problems were the main downfall for Paul Pogba's time at Manchester United. He probably had his best spell. I want to say Jose Mourinho, because they got to a Europa League final and whatnot, and I'm pretty sure they did win it at one stage, and they did win a few trophies under Jose Mourinho. But then they had like Louis van Gaal, they had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all these sort of managers, and I just don't think it worked out for Paul Pogba, and it was really disappointing, because you could clearly see that it was going to come to an end, but it just depended how quickly it was going to happen, and it probably happened a lot quicker than Paul Pogba was expecting. Obviously leaving Manchester United, he went back to Juventus, and then I think he was only there for like, I want to say a month or 2 or 3 months, and then what's it called? Obviously got banned for doping and whatnot. So for me, when we talk about Paul Pogba and what he can achieve in the game, I feel like now at the age of 32, he can really help that young AS Monaco side to come into their own in that midfield position, in the forward position as well, try and help out some of their attackers to thrive, get numbers, get goals and assists, to help out AS Monaco get there in the league, potentially challenge again with PSG and Marseille looking very strong as well in the transfer window. So for me, I feel like he can help AS Monaco maybe achieve another 3rd place finish or higher, hopefully, and then potentially win them a French Cup or something like that. And maybe even go far in the Champions League. They could have a good Champions League run, AS Monaco. They might be a team to watch out for. We'll get a few more signings in there. But yeah, this is just a quick video, really, just basically describing my thoughts on it, because when we talk about some of the best talents in the game, right, he was right up there with the likes of like Ravel Morrison, Dele Alli, all of these players that, I don't want to say had a wasted career, but didn't really fulfil their potential. And don't get me wrong, I feel like Paul Pogba is on the high end of that scale. He has achieved so much in world football. He's won so many trophies as a player. But when you have these high expectations of Paul Pogba, you'd expect him to be more consistent on a regular basis, Paul Pogba, wouldn't you? You'd expect him to have, you'd expect him to show that world-class ability every single game. And when you think about him on the international stage with France, right, I'm pretty sure he's got 91 caps for France. He's won a World Cup, he's won a Euros. He was one of the main players in that midfield, alongside like N'Golo Kante and all these types of players. He honestly was. That divot, that 2 in the midfield were fantastic for France, and one of the main reasons why they did so well. Right, when you speak about Paul Pogba, there was a lot of similarities and a lot of comparisons to Yaya Toure, in the sense of them both being very tall, very strong with the ball, good at running, good at dribbling. They can have a good shot, decent tackling as well. Their all-round game is fantastic. There's definitely a lot of key aspects of Yaya Toure in Paul Pogba, in that sort of sense. I can definitely see it. But for me, when you speak about 2 players, I feel like Yaya Toure sort of hit those levels and sort of probably achieved more in the game, just ever so slightly. But then again, saying that, Paul Pogba, it was just amazing. I can't even put it into words how great he was. Don't get me wrong, I just think, there was a lot of rumours coming out in the press and whatnot that there was, he might have had a slight attitude problem with the likes of other players at Manchester United, like Rashford and Sancho and all these different types and whatnot. So there's a similar thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he was a bit of a scapegoat at Manchester United, I'm not too sure. Or maybe, there was a lot of negative press around Paul Pogba at Manchester United because of, more the things off the pitch, obviously, the dancing, the different haircuts every other week, all this different stuff didn't really help out Paul Pogba's case, Paul Pogba's image, if you like, in that sort of sense. But when you put it in all to all, okay, when you remove the off the pitch stuff and just speak about the on the pitch and the player himself, Paul Pogba was miles better than most of the players at Manchester United at that time. Other than like a Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who else was better than Paul Pogba in that Manchester United team, just off current ability? I feel like he probably had the most ability in that Manchester United side, but just because he had so many injury problems and he wasn't consistent enough, he didn't show it enough when he probably should have, which it doesn't make sense, but hopefully it does make sense. I'm sort of rambling, but for me, when we speak about the injury problems, it sort of interrupted him his whole career, and there's been times where he really probably should have done a lot better than he should have, and in certain games at least. But overall, when you think about Paul Pogba, I feel like there's a lot more positives than negatives. But when we move on now to talking about what he can still achieve in the game, I feel like this AS Monaco move would be fantastic for him. And I feel like, moving back to his home country will help him get back in and settle back down, and hopefully encourage him and give him the guidance and support to sort of get back to his best that he used to a few years ago in the Juventus and United days at least. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention what my thoughts on it and what he can still achieve in the game, and hopefully he can come good for AS Monaco, because he does have a lot of talent, and I think he can get back to his best, hopefully. But it just depends if he can, be consistent, stay injury free, and all this sort of stuff. There's quite a few factors when you speak about Paul Pogba, but hopefully, he's sort of matured. Hopefully now he's sort of matured enough to realise that he's probably only got a few years left in football. So let's try and see if he can make the most of it or not. But yeah, let's end the video with some questions, okay? How do we feel about Paul Pogba as a player? Do we think he can get back to his best at AS Monaco? Do you think AS Monaco was the right move for Paul Pogba? Do you think he can still prove that he's got that world-class ability as a player? And how do we feel about Paul Pogba as being one of those world-class players back in the day, at least, anyways? So yeah, those are all my questions. But before that, as always, please like, comment, subscribe. It's very much appreciated, and it'll go a long way in helping me build a small community on my channel. Like I said at the start of the video, we've just hit 50 subscribers, and that is an absolutely incredible achievement, okay? I can't believe it. I can't thank you guys enough. I can't, honestly, I'm sort of speechless at this point, because to hit 50 subscribers, I want to say, in a month and a half, 2 months time, since we started making this channel, at least, it's been fantastic. So yeah, I'll stop rambling now, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out.